There's something strange that I noticed that goes against everything I used to believe. The lazier my day looks from the outside, no habits, no focus, no productivity, only my intentions, the more creative and the more alive I actually feel. And I spent years doing the opposite. Here's what I realized. I started questioning basically my entire life when I began to tell myself I'm overworked, I'm burnt out. And to reduce that, I began to question how much time I was actually working or not. For me, working looks like writing and designing and involves hours basically spent at the keyboard. But how many hours? I realized the bulk of my day was not spent actively creating or producing. Most of it was spent worrying, often worrying in the most boring, stagnant, and oafish ways possible. There was no one to perceive me, and yet I would rather sit and do nothing than go do anything else and come back to working when it was all flowing for me. And what I discovered is that having these lazy days and giving myself the permission to be anything else can actually lead to more creative and more productive days than the days where my habits are perfect. This sounds like blasphemy in the self-help industry. Just looking at the bestsellers, many of the titles of them have the words discipline or habit in them, or willpower or grit. And I've read most of them. And at various points in my life, I believed that habits are how you get the results that you want, that meditation is a daily requirement, that you have to be disciplined to be healthy, or you'll win if you can outwork or out-hustle the others, that waking up at 5 a.m. will mean that you actually get more done in a day. And at various points, no matter where I was with my belief in any of these various things, I was competing with people who did believe these things fully. And whether I liked it or not, and whether something worked for me or not, it didn't really matter, because they would do it anyways in the hopes that it actually would help contribute to better outcomes for them. I had to completely fall off the wagon to figure out that the problem wasn't being on the bandwagon and doing what everybody else is doing. The problem was I was doing what everybody else is doing and I was still burning out. So I stopped trying, and I realized actually it's a lot better to ride a wagon than to trudge a road that isn't going someplace that you want to be. Look, all of this is to say that the things that are popular bandwagons for a reason. They feel good. Meditation, yoga, supplements, early mornings, whatever it is. To me, the difference between your habits helping you or becoming a structure that traps you into an impossible way of being, where you'll find yourself miserably complying even if it means being miserable, is actually something very simple. The difference is how much presence you bring to these things. The real difference isn't what you're doing, it's actually how much of you is fully there while you're doing it. Presence is the missing multiplier. Without it, no habit works. For me, I lost presence in the pursuit of these habits, and I only got it back when I gave myself permission to be lazy, the last thing I wanted to be. To me, being lazy ended up actually just being simply permission to be, and discover that what many people say to be lazy is actually just unpresent. And in the unplanned time of giving myself permission to do nothing, I found presence again, and I realized it was just there when I took the day off, or in the hours after meditation, or yoga, or a good night's sleep. Okay, so there's an idea in Buddhism, basically it's a quote, it just goes, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. I heard this quote for the first time after I had my own sort of Siddharta journey. If you don't know it, Siddharta is a book by Hermann Hesse about a man who was born into a high-caste Hindu family, and he was destined for religious and spiritual greatness. And this man, Siddharta, ends up meeting the actual Buddha in his journey. And the surprising thing about his journey is, after that experience of meeting the Buddha, he decides he's not going to join the Buddha like he grew up believing was the most important thing he could possibly do. Instead, he dove into sensual pleasures. He starts having sex. He starts making money, even gambling. And then ultimately, he returns to simplicity. He decides to live by a river and finds inner stillness and, what he was looking for outside of all the dogma. It's not a book that says that inner peace and enlightenment aren't possible. It's actually a book that says there are multiple ways of getting there, which can and do exist at the same time. For me, in my Siddharta journey, I traveled the world seeking advanced spiritual teachings, mentors, and experiences that would put me into direct contact with what I find deeply meaningful. Along the way, I found practices that helped me experience this type of presence every every day, essentially raising the definition of my life from standard definition to high definition, where the colors are more vibrant and beautiful and the sounds are more sweet. And then ultimately, bad times would come. There'd be heartbreak, loss, failure. And I would find myself practicing these things that I found gave me an edge when times are good, hoping they would help me keep treading water. And instead, I was sort of paddling in spot, and just sitting with my emotions wasn't helping me feel better about them. Outworking my competition wasn't helping. The only thing that really did in these hard times was actually working out, just moving my body. And ultimately I decided, screw it, let's just keep working out, but everything else we're not gonna do anymore. Is it even helping? If I just stop these things, all these habits, this massive list of things to do, will I float? What I realized is that many of the things I did involved me shaping my reality to fit my expectations of it. It became my own sort of dogma, creating my own timing that would exempt me from being present for other things that were happening now. And many of these things existed just to create a positive state and often just a neutrality when a much bigger shift was needed from me. And ultimately, I found that what I was looking for wasn't some creative escape or work that I could drown myself in. It was a way to enjoy chopping wood and carrying water. I think in that way, I realized what was more important and what inner peace actually is. It was a way to chop wood and carry water. After spending so much of my life staring at a screen, just the idea of those things actually does excite me, even though it sounds really mundane. But I realized, chopping wood and carrying water is just a metaphor. And we each have our own chopping wood, carrying water necessities of life. Driving kids to school, preparing meals, cleaning up from preparing the meals. Basically, if we have to chop wood and carry water, whatever our beliefs are, we need to find a way to enjoy the hell out of that. And if we do that, maybe we don't need more. Now I focus instead on the virtues of what I bring to what I do. In Siddharta's story, he didn't just move to the river for the simple life. He discovered that he had a son and committed to just having a relationship with his son, something he never really dreamed was possible. And ultimately, their conflicts were the most difficult parts of his story. So I have no kids, so in a way I lack that kind of higher calling that is an answer to so many of these questions, and probably why I'm asking them and have the time to ask them in the first place. However, I think for me and a lot of people, simply being present for life is a better higher calling than most people give it credit for. There is a profundity in every moment if you're simply present for it. I've never not had a mind-blowing experience in a basic meditation that I was simply present for, whether it was 5 minutes long or an hour long. I've never had a coffee that I didn't enjoy more simply because I tried to taste it, because I was grateful for it. How does this tie into the bandwagon habits and the many activities millions of people do every day to be the best version of themselves? Basically, if you're present for half the stuff the bandwagon does, you're there. Yoga, lots there for you, perhaps all that you really need. Meditation, same situation. Heck, EMDR and therapy, there's lots there for you. Do you need all three? Realistically, I could see a gym being a sort of chapel and training headquarters and a home away from home all rolled into one if you made it your home, like your river, like Siddharta did, the simple place that you go to live. Same with a yoga studio or a studio apartment or one room in your house that you can choose to do anything with. You can wonder why one person seems to get so much out of this practice while for another, the answer is that it's really whatever they are present there for. And if you can join them there in that presence, chances are that you can find something there for you too. The problem is not that there isn't an ultimate discovery or the best personal growth habit that ever existed, and one day a guru is going to come out of the woodwork with an ultimate breathing technique or a supplement or whatever. It's not going to be an ultimate discovery of the most ideal use of timing, the best breathing, temperature, biohack, or thought to be having. It's that the things don't work if we aren't present for them. And we can't be present for them if we're just trying to get through them. If we're just doing them to adhere to our routine, to tick off the box, whatever it is, if you just find yourself getting through a meditation or a conversation, a video, whatever it is, that should tell you that there's nothing there for you because you're not there. That doesn't mean you should force yourself to be there for every little thing. This is how you burn out and get to a place that you cannot simply be there at all. But it does mean don't waste your time on things that you're not going to be fully present for because you won't be able to get what you need out of them. For example, muscle builds faster when you focus on the movements and you focus on the intention. Meditation alters your state faster when you're really letting go in that moment and fully present for your breath and the way your body feels. Yoga releases faster when you're present with your breath and with your movement. Spending your time fully present for whatever you can be will give you so much more out of that thing, even if everybody else is doing that thing. Or if that thing is something you have to do anyways, like chop wood or carry water. So maybe it's not about finding the perfect system. Maybe instead it's about bringing your whole self to the system you already have. Yoga is an extension of presence into a physical practice. So is lifting at the gym. Meditation is an extension of presence in your awareness. Therapy is an extension of presence into your thoughts, into your relationships. Maybe the real secret is this: being fully present for the things you already have to do, like chopping wood and like carrying water.